All righty. Let's go back to the phones. David, are you pulling my leg here? Are you really calling from Hawaii?
Yeah, hi, Dr.
Well,
Cloud. Yes, I am calling from Volcano, Hawaii.
well, very cool. So what did you it says here on the screen that uh there was something that impacted you about performance. Tell us about that.
So, a while ago, you were talking about the performance road. I'm a Celebrate Recovery ministry leader, and I was kind of at a plateau in my life, um, just not feeling worthy. Things were not going so well. Not too many people were showing up. It was kind of getting mundane. And when I listened to what you were talking about, what really hit me was the opposite of bad is not good. The opposite of bad is loved, because when you're loved, then there's no bad. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and it completely
Wow.
changed everything that I was thinking about and put me in a completely different perspective. And, I went to the next Friday, I went to go and, do my ministry and everything. I was just on fire, like I was, just received the Lord. It was amazing. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Uh,
But
so cool.
is, my question is, how do I remember that? How do I
That is
keep
good.
that at the top of my memories when because it's hard to remember that all the time.
It is hard to remember that. And that is a really, 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 really good question. Now, before we answer that, I want to just make sure everybody understands what it was that you were saying. Um, the concept here is, when we're feeling bad about ourselves, the natural human tendency, and basically, if you guys want to understand the Bible in its simplest reduction, this is pretty much what it's
Mm-hmm.
about. Now, just follow this. Let's go to Sunday school here for a second, or let's go to psychology class, whichever one you want to call it. The Bible says that we started out in existence 100% loved in two different ways. One is we were loved because God was there loving us, and we had a connection, and we were fully loved, but we were also fully just basking in that love and never worrying about the question, am I good enough? Because if you remember, the one thing that God said in the story that we shouldn't ever do is don't eat from what? He didn't say don't eat an apple. Where did that come from? What he said was, don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And see, that is part of the wish to be God, because God was supposed to be the only judge, telling us people what's good and bad, or knowing what's good and bad. He didn't even want us to know. He wanted us to be like an innocent kid running around naked, enjoying everything that was sitting in front of you, and not ever saying, am I doing good? Am I good enough? Am I okay? Never judging ourselves, just living life. And the safety to do that was because we had that connection. Okay, so then what happened in the story? We disconnected from God's love and tried to be God. We're going to be our own gods. I don't need God. Well, if I'm going to be my own God, which if you don't have God in your life, you are your own God. Okay, you make up the rules for you. It's just true. It's only two options. Either we're submitting to his or somebody's, or we're making it up on our own. Well, if you're making it up on your own, you're also the source of love for yourself, right? And you're
Yep.
judging yourself because you're figuring out, am I good enough? Am I not good enough? And then we can't get that answer. So then we turn to all sorts of other gods to answer that for us, being a romantic relationship or work approval or something. And to overcome that lack of love, that lack of connection that we lost with God, to overcome that, the only thing left is to try to perform our way out of it and be better than as bad as I feel. I'm not good enough. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get prettier. I'm going to get smarter. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to whatever it is and perform, get more Celebrate Recovery members, as you said here, David. I'm going to make my group grow and then I'll feel good. But it never works.
Right.
And so that's what the Bible says.
Never, ever.
Ever. And how many people come into your Celebrate Recovery groups because they've been trying to medicate themselves in drugs or alcohol or sex or whatever it is, try to get out of that feeling of badness, and it never works, right?
Ever.
So what is the answer? Well, what religion will tell you is to be gooder than you are bad. I hear people say this all the time. We talk to them about heaven and hell. They'll say, "Well, I'll be fine because I'm a good guy. I've never killed anybody, and this, that, and the other." And they kind of think the good is going to outweigh the bad, so that's going to be what they're judged on. And it's always the human way of make up our own religion. Well, I'm going to make up the rules of what's good, and I'm doing enough good to, I'm good and somebody else is bad. We're making up the rules and trying to be better and all of that. And what the Bible says is that's never going to work, because the standard is perfection, just like we lost way back when. And so it basically says, quit trying to be good enough for God to love you, and just go back to the way it began, where you accept that you're loved, period, and then give up the trying to be good in order to be accepted. And so what happens
That's exactly
David,
what I did.
That's what you did.
Exactly what I did.
That's exactly what you did. And it's exactly what people do who come to your groups, because they come and they join this group, and then they start to feel the love of the people in that group, and they don't really judge themselves anymore, even though the failure is still on the record, but they learn to accept themselves because they're receiving that love. Yeah. So then you said, how do you make it stick? This is where the Bible and science say the same. Yeah, and this is where the Bible and science say the same thing. Or the Bible and the good science, or the good science and the good Bible, because there's a lot of people that use the Bible to say what it doesn't actually say. What the Bible says is that the way you're going to get that to stick, David, you said remind yourself. You don't see a child who needs to be loved, fall down and, make a mistake, and they run to mom or dad, and mom or dad takes them into their arms and holds them and loves them. And then all of a sudden they feel good again, and it's so great. They're not figuring, I'm the loser, I fell down. They don't care about that anymore. They feel loved, right? And it's all gone away. Now, you don't see the dad saying, now, I won't see you for another year, but you remind yourself of this. Not what you see. What you see is them staying in a close relationship where the kid gets that every time they fall down, they get that love. They don't have to remind themselves, because as science says, it's getting internalized neurologically, and that love that we're receiving from the outside is living in us now, and it reminds us moment by moment. And that is how we internalize it. Not just memory tricks, but as you know, they say in recovery groups at the end, what do they say? Keep coming back, it works. So What you realize in, that moment you've got to make sure that you're placing yourself in the experience of that kind of love a lot over and over and over. And this question is just going to disappear. It's really going to disappear. It's just going to disappear. We don't care anymore.